right now.
We already ordered.
And we're up and running. Hey Frank.
Hey Patsy, how you doing?
Oh, not too bad. How are you?
Good, thank you. Busy,
We
good.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah, well, it's the way it is when you're in demand.
That's a good thing. It's a very good
Yep.
thing.
Yep. You'll take it.
Oh yeah, this is things are popping now because of things reopening a little bit. And the courts are finding ways. I don't know if I told you before. I did a Zoom trial that day of my daughter's birthday. Or it
No.
was actually Skype. Yeah, did a trial by Skype.
How awkward was that?
It was kind of awkward. In fact, it was weird because I was the only one that went on camera. The judge and defense counsel didn't come on camera. Defense counsel told me after the trial that he was sitting on the back deck smoking a cigar in his shorts. So, it was kind of funny. It was a bench trial. I don't know how it would be if we ever get to the point where we do jury trials by Skype. That would be really weird.
You would have the problem would be deliberations, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not necessarily having the jury there, watching their and taking in the trial. It would be whenever they have to deliberate. How because I don't think that if you got somebody on that trial that you want their spouse in the same room with them whenever they're deliberating.
Exactly.
Yeah, that could be that could be a little weird.
Yeah, that could be a problem, and you don't have much control over it when they're not physically in the courthouse. So,
well, where there's a will, there is a way.
And I'm sure we're going to figure it out at some point in time.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, courts are up and running again, and doing things for the most part in a safe way, and so that means that we're much more in demand, and things are getting moving.
Yeah, in a way, it's kind of nice to see, even if that is a little awkward. It's still nice it gives you a good feeling knowing that you're moving in a positive direction.
For sure. Some normalcy returns.
Yeah, it's going to be nice to finally get back to, well, whenever the hell that's going to happen. Speaking of getting back to normalcy, we might actually have a normal debate tonight.
One that is kind of like in the way that we grew up watching them.
Yeah, like in a traditional debate. How's that?
It would be kind of refreshing, right?
Better than that shit show we saw last week. We had talked a little bit before we got on, and folks, we're on for a half an hour today because if you're paying attention, you're checking out the little graphic we have at the bottom of the screen. We will be doing we will have our Discord group discussing the debate as it's happening. So if you want to get on with us, get in our Discord channel. There's the link. Basically, we're letting anybody in. For this, it really doesn't matter if we end up grabbing the attention of some knucklehead, then we're just going to end up throwing them out. But
that's all. We can take care.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything we can't handle. But obviously, everybody is welcome to join us. It's going to be text only, no voice, no video. But that is the link. And Frank, this is the link to our podcast video, not our private group video. I'll give, or not video, I'm sorry, group. I'll share that link with everybody in our group. So we have everybody in there getting a little boisterous, I would think. We had talked a little before we got on about what we're expecting or what we're hoping to see tonight. What are you hoping for tonight?
I'm a little, what we talked about a little bit right there about the normalcy. I'd like to see some of the issues talked about. I'd like to see, in a legitimate way, not just the looking for the gotcha things. It would be really refreshing to me to hear two, intelligent people talk about how they can help the American people through government, not to solve all our problems, but to get us on the right track. Because look, there can be different ways to get to the end of where we need to be. But we should be able to listen to those plans and say, well, this way sounds better to me given where we are, or that way sounds better to me given where we are. So, is it too much to ask for to hear like actual policy agendas? That's what I'd like to hear.
Yeah. You think there's going to be any? Well, I shouldn't say any because there's going to be. So let me rephrase the question for you. How much of those personal attacks do you think that you're going to see? They're going to get zingers in here and there, obviously, but
I think they'll limit it to. Maybe I'm being very naive, but I think they'll limit it to about 10% of the total time. They'll be a little bit more impactful because they won't be constantly using those. But you might hear a little snide remark here and there. I wouldn't say those are the big personal attacks. They might just say they want to do it this way, and I wouldn't consider that a personal attack. But I would say, actual personal attacks would probably be limited to about 10%.
Yeah, I would think so too. You're not going to see much. We have, Pence is going to try to be really smooth, right? Because he's pretty what's the word I'm looking for here? He's not exactly an exciting guy to be around. Okay. So I think he's going to try to smooth his way through these things, and he's where you have Harris, who is a prosecutor, and she is going to debate. If anybody was paying attention to any debates that she was in, especially in the primaries, she's going to debate like a prosecutor would. And that doesn't mean that she's always trying to put somebody on their heels, but just the forward, the strong, the way somebody should. That's going to be a huge contrast to what Pence is going to try to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's got a little bit more. Well, I think she's got a lot more charisma than he does. And
well, Mike, so do your shoes.
I do want to caution though that Pence doesn't. He's not foreign to speaking publicly. He had a high level role in Indiana. He also had a radio show before he became governor, so he was constantly interacting with the public. That doesn't mean he's charismatic. He's not. He has a different style about him. And I think you pointed out that he's going to be kind of low key and try to be smooth. I think he won't be monotonous, but he's going to try to keep that like very, even keel where it doesn't look like he's very excitable. But I think he's going to try to come across as more of a man of the people. That's the image he's going to try to keep portraying, I think, because let's face it. I mean, you'd have to be blind to look at this situation and say Trump is connecting with the people at this point. He's not. He's not connecting with the people. And it's going to be up to Pence to connect with the people, so I think he's going to try to do that.
Which well, let me get back to that. We said what were some of the things we're looking for? Pence is going to try to go after the radical left, right? Yeah. And you saw that already. You saw Trump try to do that. And he failed miserably at it. He tried to get what is one of the most centrist people in the Democratic Party and try to pin him to the radical left, or their radical left. Do you think that Harris is more to the left or all right, let me try this again. Do you think that Harris is to the left of Biden?
Personally, I don't think her record is such, but that won't stop him from trying to paint her that way.
Yeah. You think he's going to have better success than Trump did with Biden?
Yeah, because he's more coherent and he can put together a better argument. But I think the only thing he could probably say is that she's from California. They're a tax and spend state. She wants to spend us out of these problems. She wants to tax people to get us out of these problems, and that you're going to see higher tax rates if she gets into office. I think that's something that maybe could resonate because people always see California as a much more expensive state to live in. than a lot of other states in the country. When in reality, of course, there's a lot more money flowing into California because of the businesses that they have there. So of course.
Religious freedom is going to be an issue. Pence, whenever he was Indiana's governor, he signed that law, what was it, the Religious Freedom Act or something like that. They're probably going to talk about that, and I get the feeling that that Harris is just going to attack that like a rabid dog. It was the remember the one? It was the what was it, the nuns that fought the requirement for birth control.
Yeah,
that's where that whole thing came from. I have the feeling that's going to come up. Obviously, the Supreme Court opening is going to come up, right? I mean, that's going to come up. If that doesn't come up, they shouldn't even have the debate. Not that I think that their stances are going to matter, but it is something that our government is going to be facing and deciding. So you better talk to the VPs about that. COVID-19 is going to be a big thing. They will have and this is something I wanted to talk to you about, because they are going to have that plexiglass between them, and I'm assuming that they're going to be even further apart than they normally would. Normally, rate a president or vice presidential debate. I mean, we've even seen them, Frank, that they were sitting at the same table, right? Wasn't Biden and who wasn't the VP pick against Palin? Weren't they sitting at the same table or rather close to each other? Maybe it wasn't those two. Maybe it was Romney's VP. I can't remember, but they were rather close together. I don't see that happening. Obviously it's going to be very, very much further apart. They're going to have that divider between them. Pence is the head of the COVID-19 task force. This is going to be very difficult for him to pivot around, considering the White House is just it's ground zero right now.
It's a really bad spot to be in. I mean, and that's something that I don't know if he's going to try to pivot away from that, if he's going to just acknowledge that the virus is something that is novel and that we're trying to get a handle on. I really don't know what tact he's going to take. I mean, it's quite frankly that's a very unenviable position to be in. I think we all collectively thought at the beginning, is Trump trying to throw Pence under the bus when he appointed him as the as the head of this task force? Yeah. But because he wanted to replace him, but obviously he didn't replace him. And at this point, he's stuck with them, and clearly they haven't succeeded. I don't know if he's going to try to point to things around the world and say that there's a lot of other countries still dealing with this too. Anecdotally, you can pick and choose, but a lot of countries are handling it a lot better than we are. I think Kamala's got the high ground there, and there's really nowhere for him to go from that. I think he's got to talk about the economy, the religion, as you talked about, which is kind of crazy because Joe Biden is clearly a religious man, has lived his life that way. He's lived his life that way. And, I'm sure Kamala has her walk with faith that she could talk about, and it's probably a dangerous spot to get into with her as well. But what else can he go? What else can he go to?
He kind of has to play to his strengths, right? And
yeah.
And I don't mean to sound nasty, but he doesn't have many strengths, right? He doesn't exactly have a record that he can bring onto that stage and say, "Hey, look at what I've done over these last 4 years." Other than kind of just stand back in the shadows, and there's not really a whole lot of accomplishments that they can take credit for as an administration or him as a vice president. But one of the things that's going to be really interesting is, if you think about it, and it may sound funny, but if you think about it, I don't think it really is. Either of these two, as early as February, could actually be president, right? If Biden wins, Joe's how old, right? He's in his upper 70s, older than Trump is.
Yeah.
It is a possibility. Now, it is a bit of a stretch. Don't get me wrong. I get that. I'm not, but before the next term is up, before the next presidential term is up, there is a possibility that either of these two, one of these two, could actually take over the presidency. So to me, it's going to be really important that for both of them, that they come off being extremely presidential, or they're kind of kneecapping themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to have to play that role, and I think that the American public is aware enough to know. I mean, look, it's become acutely important right now with COVID, right? The risks that both these men are going to encounter until COVID is gone is, they're in the high risk age group. We don't really know what Trump's situation is at this point in time. I don't think anybody's getting a clear answer about that. So it's I would imagine it's got to be in just about everybody's mind that the two of them could be president, just by virtue of being vice president. We always know that, but it's more acutely important right now. So in that regard, I will say this, as we walk into this situation tonight, we had a little discussion on our Discord group earlier today. I'm not afraid of this at all. I mean, I think Kamala's got the high ground for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Really, even if she slams him tonight, does that move the needle beyond 30 points? Does it move it?
No.
But if she somehow trips up or there's some kind of bombshell against her, it could certainly move the needle the other way.
Yeah. Yeah, it could. But even in that case, though, Frank, I think it's going to have to be a pretty big screw up.
Oh, I agree. And I don't think she's prone to that. And I don't think and even then, I still think it's like people out there know that, look, we got to have a change here. The our country's gone in the wrong direction. So I don't fear it that much, but I just think that strategically, when we had this little push and pull over the plexiglass, it could have been the moment to say, oh, you don't want to agree to plexiglass, then we don't need to do this debate. I mean, it's not the most important thing in the world. A debate doesn't tell us where we're going politically, because we've been able to define our agendas just fine without this debate. But that's just my preference as a strategy type thing. When I look at big picture strategy, I'm like, where does this get us? It's going to be theater, and it's something to watch when there's not an NBA championship game on tonight. There's no Monday Night Football, and quite frankly, I haven't watched any baseball, even though it's playoffs. I really don't care. I wish I did, but I don't. I've been watching the NBA. That's been fun. And I've been watching NFL and soccer. So tonight's a boring night, and this will be a night. It'll be theater for me to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, as big of a Yankees fan that I am, I'm not really watching much of it at all. I'd be honest, I didn't even know they played last night until I saw the highlights, on ESPN down at the gym in the morning.
What did they do last night?
Oh, they lost 7-5.
Okay, so is that series tied 1-1 then?
1-1, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know when they're playing again. Maybe tomorrow, since it might be every other day, but chances are I'm not watching it. I'd much rather watch the Lakers win, and that's hard to say being a Celtics fan. But I'd much rather support the NBA. Just that simple. I'd just much rather support the NBA.
Yeah, they've been. I mean, look, they've been socially aware. You look at what LeBron said just the other day. He said Texas, I guess, has reduced every county basically to one polling station, right?
Mm-hmm.
He stepped up and said, "I'll provide free rides to that polling station for anybody that needs them."
Yeah.
I mean, that's big.
That's huge.
And he doesn't care who you're voting for.
Mm-mm.
He doesn't care who you're voting for. He just wants you to get the opportunity to vote.
If Texas is doing that, maybe these polls are closer than what we're being told.
Yeah.
Because I mean, That's like Texas is like it's like out here in Mayberry. I mean, you got two Biden supporters. Uh, if they're pulling that shit, to me, that's the same thing as not getting a straight answer about Trump's health. It's far worse than people are letting on.
Yeah, yeah, they got to be looking at things and saying, we got to bottleneck this. We got to choke this off here.
One of our one of the guys who follows us, Bob last night, he was chatting with us, and he's from Texas. He's from Southern Texas, and he said Beto changed the rules.
Yeah,
he said he whenever his popularity and the impact that he had changed everything there.
Yeah,
and I never even thought about it, but he's living there, and that's what he's saying. So it's kind of hard to argue.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, I was down in San Antonio towards the end of that race, and there were Beto signs all over in San Antonio. Now, San Antonio, of course, is going to be a little bit more democratic than some of the other places, but yeah, I saw his signs everywhere, and I was really encouraged by that. He captured their imagination, and Texas is one of those states too that if you can campaign across the state of Texas, you can pretty much campaign nationally. That's a huge area to cover.
Yeah. No, it is. You're right. Last week, the one positive thing, well, I shouldn't say the one positive thing, there were a bunch of positives, but the one thing that kept coming up over and over and over again, of all the channels or stations or news outlets or whatever that I was watching, all kind of had the same thing. Like they have that I know CNN is really popular for it. They kind of have that running graph at the bottom of the screen during the debates, and it kind of moves and fluctuates as it's reflecting people's reactions to the candidates' answers. It's almost like an EKG.
Yes.
Okay. And Biden's EKG, I guess, his line really bounced up high every time he turned to the camera and talked to the people. Okay, whenever he really addressed the audience, looked at him and broke the fourth wall, as they say. That could have been a result of the shit show that was going on beside him, but his numbers and his the opinions people had of him, that whenever he was doing that, was very high, was very popular. I can see Harris. I can see Senator Harris doing the same thing, looking at the camera and talking to people. Do you think Pence is going to take a play out of the playbook and try to do the same thing? Because it was met with overwhelmingly positive results. That would be a big maybe. Anyhow, I think that was a positive, and I think you're going to see the same thing from her that you saw from Joe Biden, right? You're going to see that. There you are.
Sorry about that. Dinner was just delivered to the door, and I had Dante's by himself. I didn't want him going out to the
street.
I
know you don't want him answering the door. Huh. Did you hear the question?
I'm sorry, I missed that one.
That's okay. It's all right. We were talking about Biden's EKG during the debate, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And his line really shot up high whenever he was addressing the audience and addressing the cameras, right? Whenever he was talking to people, looking at the camera, looking people in the eye and talking to them. Now, a lot of that also could have been because of the shit show that was going on beside him. But in either case, he got a spike whenever he would do that. Yeah. I see no reason why Harris wouldn't do the same thing, since her partner, for lack of a better term, got positive results doing that. It would stand to reason that she would do the same thing. You see Pence doing that shit too? Do you see him trying to go that way too? No, he has to know that was a high point for Biden.
I absolutely think so. It's one of those things that absolutely, like, he's been schooled on it. He probably thinks about it himself. It is his kind of down home demeanor to do that. The question is, I mean, it might connect with some people, but do you think it will be sincere? Do you think that it will feel as sincere?
Yeah, see, that's a really good question because, he does come across. Maybe it's because of his such low tone or soft tone, I should say, that he comes across. I can see how people could take that as sincere. I could. I could, even if they're just, giving themselves a reason to think so. But because of his tone and his demeanor, he can project that. Obviously, he's going to have far more success with that than Trump will, or did, because Trump didn't even try, but that's just not in his wheelhouse. I don't think he will have the same impact, though, that Harris will have doing the same thing, because she knows how to talk to people. She knows how to talk through a camera and talk to somebody, not just at the camera. And I think that's where you're going to see the difference. Pence will try, but that faux sincerity, or you ever want to call it, will probably stop at the camera lens, where Harris has the ability to go through the camera into the home, and I think that's going to be the difference.
That's something to watch for tonight. I think you pointed out something that is probably to me, is going to be the big, like, crux of where we go with this tonight. Is he going to connect, and is she going to connect with folks? Thank you, buddy. And that's beyond like what is said. What are the words that are spoken, or what are the talking points? I would like to see that. That's kind of the big takeaway for me.
History is going to be made tonight, Frank. Right? Geraldine Ferraro, Hillary Clinton, Sarah Palin, all was either on the presidential or vice presidential debate stage. Kamala Harris is the first woman of color to be there, though.
That's right. And it's a big thing, and maybe she will be the actual first woman to actually hold the office of vice president.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be very nice. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be good theater, but there will be some substance to it too. And I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about tomorrow.
Oh, we're going to be talking tonight.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to be talking tonight, folks. We're going to wrap this up because we've got a few things we have to do, and then get ready, get all settled in for the debate tonight. You do see the Discord address. That's the address to the Frank and Patsy Pod Discord channel. Like I said, Frank, that's not our private one. That's another one that was set up just for this. So, folks who are already in our private channel, I will post this in our private channel just to let everybody know to go there. To be honest, Frank, most everybody's already in that one anyhow, or at least I sent out the invites. I don't know how many people actually. I just haven't looked. But for everybody, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to watch it tonight. You're going to watch history. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on or who you're pulling for. Anyhow, history is going to be made tonight. As soon as that debate starts, history will be made. You should be a part of it. Frank, we'll be back tomorrow, right? Same bad time, same bad channel.
Definitely with some good stuff to talk about, and yeah, I'm excited about tonight actually more than the first one, and I'm hoping that it delivers in that way too.
Yeah, I am too. I'm really hoping that I'm really excited about tonight. I'm really hoping for something positive that we can talk about. Not as far as do we think who won, just the fact that we actually had a real debate. That's gonna be nice. So anyhow, folks, check it out tonight. Get on our Discord group. I also have a link in the chat, and we'll see everybody tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. Until then, so my mother doesn't yell at me, goodbye, good luck, and God bless. We'll see everybody tomorrow.